You get your property set up, you get your home set up, and then the next thing is about being prepared should that evacuation notice come. And there's a couple of things to think about. One is, you probably heard on the our socials or whatnot, ready, set, go, which is being prepared, being ready should the evacuation notice come in. Keep an eye on the weather. That's a great indicator of what's coming down the pipe. Keep an ear out for the news. And then a 72-hour kit is a really good tool to have. So water, chargers, things that if you had to go in a moment's notice, can you be gone for 72 hours?
All right, here we go with the sports talk. Hello, everybody. Welcome to San Luis Obispo with your San Luis Obispo Real Estate Podcast with Mr. Hal Sweasey. Hal, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Can you hear me here?
I can.
Here?
I can.
Okay.
Thanks for getting that's perfect.
Thank you.
We have a big group with us. We're super excited. Yes. Bobbie Kelley is with us. You get introduced first. How are you?
Hello, I'm lovely. Happy to be here.
Glad you're back. JT, how are you, sir?
I'm lovely.
I can't really see you. Albert's in my way, but that's totally fine.
Hey,
I remember what you
I'm
look
right
like.
over here.
There you
right
are.
over here.
That's perfect. Albert, you're back. Thanks for coming. How are you doing?
It's great to be back. I am doing great.
I heard
Thanks.
you had a little mishap with a tire in a car and some stuff on your way over here.
Pro tip, when you get the car back from a tire shop, make sure they put the tires on the right side of the car. Turns out when they put the left front one on the right front one, they switch them, and they put you back on the road. The car shakes a lot.
Oh, man.
Oh, they didn't
That's
balance
what
them properly.
happened?
No. They
What?
put the wrong tire on the wrong side. Like they took the left one off and put it on the right side and put the right one on the left side.
Supposed to do that?
I never knew they had sides.
I didn't know that.
I think they do on some of the newer
flip them,
vehicles now.
Some tires are
Cars not
directional.
stoked about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Hal, sorry about that.
we could have gone there for a while. Welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
Hal, we have
Glad to be here.
another special guest with us.
Yes.
We're super lucky. Why don't
Yes.
you introduce who we got?
We have a local celebrity here, Todd Tuggle, who is the fire chief for the city of San Luis Obispo and has kindly blessed us with his time. He's a busy person, and so we're going to talk a lot about fires and fire prevention, and it should be fun.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and so I'm worried about John, though, because can you see him with the camera with that? Because this shirt he's wearing, do you know what kind of shirt this is called? It's a rain spooner, right? And go ahead, tell
I'm
the story.
glad you answered that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have known.
it's a Hawaiian shirt. Some people call it that.
I've been wearing a rain spooner for over 10 years in a row every day. I've got like 75 of them. And, wow. And so I'm going to be featured on their website coming up here. But I talked about that on an prior episode.
Okay,
so
I must have
leave it-
forgotten.
we'll leave it.
Not
Give
everybody's
people
in the
what they want. They
know.
wanna see
we'll
your
leave it
shirt.
there.
What a celebrity you are. Yeah.
We'll leave it there.
Wow.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
He has more than one though, so that's good.
75.
Yeah. So now he's going to want to get a uniform like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only men would be
So-
celebrated.
I would wear
for that.
mine
We
under
couldn't get
here.
away with that. No,
Right? Yeah,
no
you
one's
wore
gonna
the
be proud
same
of me
brand
doing
of shirt for 10 years.
that. I'm willing to try.
Is that 3,650 days in a row? Okay.
Plus,
It's something.
Yeah.
February 15th, the day you sold my house 10 years ago.
Wow. Retirement day.
Yeah.
So he thought.
You must be a heck of a husband.
This is retirement.
I am.
For your wife to deal with that.
hear every
I don't
day.
think I am in the eyes of my spouse. But,
Right.
But
Well,
you can go ahead and say that.
Yeah. So
And
So we're going to have some fun here.
yeah, I
today.
think so. Yeah.
More than this?
No. Yeah. So Todd, we had a bunch of questions. I don't know where we start
Well,
here.
should we have Todd tell our listening audience a little bit about himself before
we go. That's a
before
great
we hit him
start.
with questions?
Yes. Just
Well,
the good stuff. Sorry.
Thanks for the invite. I'm a little bit trying to figure out who to look at with this camera, but I think I'll just stick right here.
Yeah.
My name is Todd Tuggle. I've been the fire chief here in the city of SLO for a little over 2 years now. Started in December of 22. Before that, I was the fire chief for the city of Santa Maria for a few years, and then before that, I spent most of my career with the city of Fresno. Worked there for 17 years. Worked my way up through the ranks as a firefighter, engineer, captain, battalion chief, deputy chief, and then came over to the city of Santa Maria as a deputy chief. Before that, didn't start till I was almost 30. Before that, I was a biomedical manufacturing engineer in the Silicon Valley, working on medical devices when 9/11 happened.
Wow.
And had a little bit of a kind of a reset of career paths, and with with a wife and a very young child, we decided to change and ended up in fire and ended up at the city of Fresno. Graduated from Cal Poly in 1996.
That away.
So this was a bit of a coming home of sorts to come back to the town and the university from which I graduated. So it was pretty exciting and really glad to be here today. So thank you.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in San Diego.
Oh, nice. Which town? There.
Kind of all over the place.
Okay.
But I graduated from Ramona High School in 1991.
Okay, up northeast.
Northeast, yeah. Exactly.
You're
most.
You know your San Diego
I
geography.
was going to say, most people say, isn't that where the play is at? And I'm like, no, that's Hemet. The play Ramona. But,
So Todd, given that you're a Cal Poly grad, did you read in the local paper in the last week or 10 days about starting salaries for Cal Poly grads?
I did not.
They are higher than Harvard and all the Ivy League schools. How about that?
Wait, not just Harvard, all of the
All the
Leagues.
Ivy League schools is what
Fantastic.
I read.
Wow.
Isn't that
Fantastic
great?
news.
So Cal
good.
Poly is not the Harvard of the West. Harvard is the Cal Poly of the East.
Fully support that.
There you go.
Fully support
So,
that.
yeah, so we should ask for raises as Cal Poly
Yeah,
graduates.
there you go. Hey, but I also went, there was a newspaper article about you that talked about part of your education was at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey on some homeland security or something like that. How did that impact your fire?
So I went to the Naval Postgraduate School hosts a civilian master's program in Homeland Security. It's put on through the Center for Homeland Defense and Security, CHDS. It's a civilian program, and so what they do is they invite civilian, mostly government, local, state, and federal employees, and then occasionally they'll bring in private, like infrastructure contractors, and it's all set up around Homeland Security, around infrastructure protection, immigration law, local response, recovery, all of it. Right. And I went there from 2012 to 2014, and I got my master's in Homeland Security from the Naval Postgraduate School. It was a really exciting program. Definitely recommend it for any of us who are working in public safety. It's a great program, great education. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
I thought that was cool.
So that was quite a ways after you finished Cal Poly. So you'd had your professional career and went back for your master's or same time kind of thing, or?
Yeah, I was working as a battalion chief in the city of Fresno.
Okay, so you made the transition from.
Yeah, it's designed for working professionals, and they try to pick kind of mid-level professionals who still have some time left in their careers to implement some of the stuff they learned.
Good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's good times.
Yeah. So we all have some questions.
All right.
You want to start out?
No.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Saved the best for last, apparently.
Yeah.
That was a clear answer. No.
That's the same response my wife gives when she meets a firefighter. Right? What? Huh? Oh, no, I'm fine.
Was I in a daze just now or something? Sorry.
Bobby, you are turning red. This is a first for our podcast, James.
Come on.
I was completely against him coming here, by the way, just so you know. So,
are your guys waiting in the truck outside? Are there more?
No, they're watching.
All right.
This is live. They're watching.
No,
thank goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of fires. They've been big. So my first question I thought of is what should homeowners know, like when you go into fire? What can help them to have a better outcome if you're unfortunate enough to be in that situation?
So I would say it starts with preparedness, and it starts with preparing your home for the eventuality of wildfire. We live in a climate, a Mediterranean climate, that was, quite honestly, it lives around the idea of fire. Fire is a part of the landscape, here in the county. So we need to be comfortable with that fact. So the first part is being prepared, making sure your home is prepared, and it starts from the property line and it moves into the house. So defensible space, coming from the outside in, making sure your trees are bucked up or limbed so that they don't have any limbs close to the ground. What that does is it prevents the grass and lower intensity fuels from getting into the trees. The next is moving into closer to the house and making sure there's a 0 to 5 feet non-combustible zone. That means rock, concrete, DG, fences are not touching
What was the
house.
width? You said how much?
0 to 5. So it's called zone 0. And
the first 5 feet.
Well, you say 0 to 5, so 0 probably wouldn't be an answer, right? Like what
the 5
distance?
feet from your house.
Yes. Okay,
0 meaning like the wall of your house, like out to 5 feet.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah.
So 5 feet.
Yeah. So the wall out to 5 feet.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's a catchy title, Zone 0. Sorry. But yeah,
You're
basically
gonna have to dumb it down for this.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay.
The
all right.
over
I just wear the glasses to try it.
Hey, like this is
not
going to come back
actually.
to bite me later. But okay. So yeah, basically having a non-combustible zone within that first 5 feet. And then the house itself. So having non-combustible siding, upgrading your windows, making sure the vents don't allow embers to get in. So there's an actual spec. It's like an 1/8 hole on the vent so the embers don't get in. Enclosed eaves, enclosed gutters, and then a non-combustible roof on the house.
So it's like soffit, closed in. You don't want the open. Okay.
Exactly.
Here's a weird question. So are oak trees highly combustible? Like I have oak trees near my house. So I said that's the only thing that survives in a fire. I was thinking.
So oak trees are a great example of a tree that is specifically adapted for a fire climate. And you can see that because many of the oak trees we have around here, they have, sorry, I'm going to nerd out from my Cal Poly days here. They have thermophilic germination. In other words, they don't germinate until they've been hit by significant enough heat to melt or burn off the outside of the acorns. That's an actual, there's several of the species actually rely on fire to germinate appropriately. So their bark and their branches and their leaves are designed around fire. Yes, they will burn. If it gets hot enough, anything will burn, quite frankly.
Right.
But they are pretty heat resistant and fire resistant as a species.
But once they get going, like if you burn oak, I always thought it burned a long time. Like it's going to go for a while.
That's why we
Once
do
it
Santa
starts.
Maria barbecue around it, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. But that's a pretty significant burn period before it starts to before a fire starts to work its way into the inside of the,
Gotcha.
of the
Thank
tree.
you.
Yeah, no, good point.
You know, the Southern California fires are so close in our rearview mirror. And,
Yep.
And you grew up in San Diego. I lived for a time in Santa Ana Canyon in Orange County. It's named for the Santa Ana winds, I think, not the Santa Ana River. But what kind of risks do we have in our market here to an event like we've seen down there? I mean, I don't think we get the winds that are quite as strong here, do we?
Right. Well, let me, not to interrupt you, JT, but let me back up a little bit to the preparation piece with what Hal's question is, and I'll feed it into my response to yours. So the other part of it is, you get your property set up, you get your home set up, and then the next thing is about being prepared should that evacuation notice come. And there's a couple of things to think about. One is, you probably heard on the, our socials or whatnot, ready, set, go, which is, being prepared, being ready should the evacuation notice come in. Keep an eye on the weather. That's a great indicator of what's coming down the pipe. Keep an ear out for the news. And then a 72-hour kit is a really good tool to have. So water, chargers, things that if you had to go in a moment's notice, can you be gone for 72 hours? And that doesn't mean having to live out of the back of a car. But that could be like, hey, do you have your medications or at least some prescriptions, all those kinds of things. And then on the ready, set, go part, there's the set, which is now there's something happening, i.e. a fire. Are you listening? Do you know your zone? Do you know which evacuation zone you live in? And if you're not familiar with that, definitely recommend going to prepareslo.org, which is a website that you can go to through the county, which has the evacuation zone. So if we evacuate up or above Johnson, near Lizzie and Johnson again, what zone would that be that you need to evacuate? And when you hear that, are you familiar with that? And then the last part is that when the evacuation order goes, is go. And please don't take any more time than is necessary to do that, because any time spent, and this gets to your point, JT, is it JT or John?
Either one.
Either one will work? Okay. I like JT. That one's kind of fun.
I like JT too.
Okay. All right, good. All right.
It's like, I know a lot of Johns. I need to have something.
We just lost all our John listeners.
Good job. But, if that delay in people evacuating is part of what created the issues with the flood of cars trying to make it out of very narrow, constrained pathways to get out of communities. And so as people are are, as we're evacuating folks, those roads are designed for a certain capacity. And if we overload those roads, then we get what we saw in LA. We saw it in Paradise back in 2018 in the Camp Fire. And the roads are not built to the capacity of literally dumping an entire neighborhood all at the same time. Our evacuation zones were designed with the thought of metering out evacuations within the capacity of the road network. So it's really important that when you hear that zone, that evacuation notice, to go. And that helps meter out that flow of evacuations within our communities.
Did
and
you
that's
know that? I never knew that you guys had an organized plan on how you release people, so to speak, right?
That's how those zones are actually sized, is based on the road network and its ability to withstand the particular size of the evacuation area.
Are you familiar with an app called Watch Duty?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where did that come from? Are you guys familiar with this?
No.
It has become a de facto thing in Southern California anyway. Like every friend I have has it on their phone now. And it's an aggregator of all of the information about a fire that's happening, so that if your zone gets selected for evacuation, you get like a text message on your phone that's saying, hey, you're probably coming up next, get ready. Evacuation's coming. And then if evacuation happens, it says you're in the zone, and it gives you a map telling you exactly where it is. Mm-hmm. It's actually surprisingly complicated to put all that information together without the app. It's almost become like a thing we can't live without. Yeah. And now you just turn the notifications on and you just know what's happening. But I'm just fascinated where did this thing come from? Because I think it's a for-profit group. Like it's not a for-profit company. Was it started, or like the fire department's getting together and doing it? Because it's gotten to the point where for the folks who are living in a place where fires are really common, I mean, it's become like a part of their life. Yeah. That everybody's got
insurance. When we had an insurance, the guy from the commissioner's office came to speak to our team meeting. He was actually sharing that app with everybody. So they were pushing it out through, and insurance agencies have been sharing it, trying to get us all.
I'm just trying to figure out where did it come from and who's making money, right? Because I've never seen something go from nothing to everybody has it on their phone and everybody's using it in such a short period of time.
So probably about 15 years ago, there was a group of folks that kind of technology folks that put together, basically it was nothing more than like a Reddit thread. And it was like wildfire. I can't remember the name of it. It was wildfire or wildline, something like that.
Okay.
And they put together this thing, and it was incredibly popular because there was all these scanner geeks that were listening to IP-based scanners, and they would hear fires going out, and they would update, and they would be on these threads, and they would just be updating these things. And that lasted until probably late 2010s. That site was up and running, and then Watch Duty was essentially the next iteration of it. I don't know a lot about the background, about the
where it started.
Yeah, well, I don't know a lot about who's running it, but that's kind of how it started. And so now it's formed into a GIS-based platform, which has got maps, it's got weather information. It's pulling from all these public data sources. That's providing what you were talking about.
Yeah, you can really look at it right now, and it'll tell you where all the fires in Southern California are. Like and oh my gosh, there's like 15 fires at any day that are going on actively. And
I'll look into it a little more. I might be able to provide you all with some details.
It's like I want to. Is the data going to China? Is this like a talk out? Like it's just weird how it just came out of nowhere and everybody's using it. That's
yeah.
Do you think it's a good app?
We use it all the time.
For it?
Oh, okay,
got it.
So it's
I don't know if I
valuable.
endorse it per se, but I use it all the time.
Got
it. And it's really valuable.
for.
Absolutely.
As a guy who is literally a firefighter who's in charge of firefighters, you use it personally.
Absolutely.
Wow, he just made a commercial for it.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like,
dang.
I need to remember to invest in this stuff before I
Are we
talk about
buying
it.
stock today or what?
No, my understanding is that it's not a for-profit company anyway. Like it's a 501c.
That part I don't know anything about.
Hey,
that.
But I imagine the more
what's the app
educated-
again? One more time. I'll put it up on the description.
Watch Duty.
Watch Duty.
Watch Duty app. Got it.
DUTY.
I have confirmed it is.
Spelling's important.
It is.
I mean, we're laughing.
Okay, a few things though. When you were talking about all those different things you can do to protect your house, I'm sitting over here going, there's no way. I don't know if I have any of that. I don't know what that is. Is there some sort of resource for maybe some of our older clients, people who might need, can you help them with that?
Yeah, well, so in terms of implementing, let's back up. So what are the things that we're talking about? There's quite a few resources. The CAL FIRE State Fire Marshal's Office They have a lot of resources on what defensible space actually looks like. The IBHS, which is the, help me out here, JT, Institute for Business, it's IBHS.org. The Wildfire Prepared Home talks about the home hardening piece of that, and then what can actually get done.
I don't understand what home hardening means.
Home hardening means that basically getting your home built to withstand a wildfire.
Okay.
So we have lots of tools to prevent spread of fire within a home. We have sprinklers, we have drywall, we have self-closing doors, we have 2-hour rated walls. There's lots of stuff that keeps a fire from spreading inside a house. The Wildfire Prepared Home looks at how do we keep fire from burning the home from the outside. Okay. So again, Wildfire Prepared Home is a great resource for the actual items that are recommended. In terms of implementation, that's really a local and a personal challenge. And I think what you brought up is really one of our fundamental challenges, is how do we, A, encourage people to do the work, B, incentivize them to do the work, and then C is like, if all of those things are in place, how do we actually help them get the work done?
That seems to be the biggest piece.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we actually
So I mean, you can be totally willing, have all the money in the world. Are there contractors out there, or you may not have the money, and are you able to do it? There's lots of mobile home parks in the city of SLO, for instance, that quite honestly probably don't have the money to be able to pull off some of these efforts. So it is a challenge, and there are some grant programs out there, but it's nonetheless it is a big challenge to get that done.
Well, and there's a cottage industry of vendors that are popping up to do home hardening right now. And like one of the things that have been pitched recently is this idea of putting sprinklers on your roof. I hadn't heard of that before, so that seems to be a new thing. And I'm just curious if you have any opinions about what do you think is the most, if somebody says, I want to spend some money on home hardening, right? What do you think is the most effective spend that you get the most value out of? And what is absolutely just a waste of money to stay away from it?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Because there's a ton of people who are trying to, capitalize on all the
thing.
news right now.
Yeah.
And so, I think if we can give people advice about how to steer through that and what matters, what do you think?
Well, I would say from the Wildfire Prepared Home perspective, and if you just go to that website, there's actually certifications being offered by IBHS, which is a nonprofit. Well, nonprofit, but it's supported through the insurance industry. And the list of items in there, all of them are great. I would say the one thing that if you had to do anything else, 2 things. If you could do 2 things to your house, I would say making sure you have a non-combustible roof. In other words, if you have shake shingles on your roof still, please make that a priority. And then the second thing is that zone 0 part is trying to get the non-combustible items at least 5 feet away from your house.
What is a shake shingle?
Wood.
Oh, okay. So just wooden shingles.
Well, it's really.
Wait, I haven't built a house lately. So.
Well, they're not very common anymore.
Okay. All right. So,
shake shingle is a.
Wouldn't that be going back to the 40s? I mean, they have. When was the last time they put
70s.
wood
We
on
bought a
a
house
roof?
with shake
70,
shingle.
yeah.
Oh,
The
okay,
mountains,
the
they did a
70s.
lot, cedar shingle.
They're cool looking.
Yeah.
Super
I
cool
liked
looking.
it.
I saw
Yeah,
one
they're
literally
beautiful.
the other day.
Yeah.
It's great.
Along a creek bed.
Oh.
So, but so the non-combustible roof and the zone 0 would be the 2 things that I would say if you had to put a priority on anything, I'd say those 2 things ahead of the rest. But all of them create a stacking effect when it comes to risk reduction.
So this may be more like an insurance carrier question, but what are the things that people, when they've had to evacuate or their house burns down or something, they go, I wish I would have grabbed this out of the house?
Oh wow.
Besides their husband.
Maybe not always.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes there's not always
That is a great question.
It varies. I mean, you get a lot of different things from, I wish I'd grabbed, a picture. I wish I'd grabbed a letter. I wish I'd grabbed, the will or the deed to the house or my ID or my phone. I mean, there's a lot of different things. you try to project where you're going to be, and think about what do you absolutely need to survive. I mean, we're pretty fortunate in America that we have a pretty stable economy, we have a pretty stable world. We don't really think about what it's going to be like to be stuck out in the cold very often.
Right.
But I think starting with, hey, what would happen if I had to be away from my house for a week? And I had to rebuild. What would I need?
Right.
Just try to put yourself in those shoes. But,
Great. Thank you.
It's a tough question.
Not replaceable.
Yeah. I mean, and the biggest thing is you and your loved ones, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest part of it. For sure.
And so that brings me to I would think one of the hardest obstacles in your way in the early period of time during a fire is that go part.
Yeah.
I bet you run into people who don't want to go yet.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Or they don't want to go, period.
Or they don't want to go, period.
Yeah. How do you
or
deal
can't. That's a whole other
That's
ball of
heavy
wax.
to even
I don't
think
think you
about.
can get 100% of anybody to do anything, right?
Speaking of going, though, I think we're going to pause and we're going to go for another episode.
Wow.
So we're
Jeez.
gonna have
We
you come
burned
back
through that
next week if it's okay. We sure did.
Bad expression. We burned through that quick. Okay.
Oh Lord. Okay, so we'll have Todd back next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Great.
Yeah. We're
Any
just
other questions?
Give a quick pause and just real quick for me. I looked at the IDHS website.
Yeah.
So Insurance Institute for Business, Home, and Safety.
You got it.
Gotcha.
They offer a podcast.
Oh,
We will go ahead
did
and
not know
promote
that.
that.
Interesting. Okay.
Information on everything that we're talking about. I'm sure they're going to get much more detailed than us.
I thought you were going to say they get much more listeners after this.
Not listening.
okay.
Well, they'll probably get more listeners as well.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody, we're going to have a part 2. We're going to go ahead and just cut off now. Jeff, do we need anything else?
Nope. Make sure you subscribe if you just happen to listen to this so you can catch part 2 and the exciting conclusion.
JT. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Can you?
Go ahead.
Are we still live?
We got time, yeah.
I wanted to see if you could make sure we re-ask your question.
I got
weather
it. I want because I want to hear your answer.
Because I want to answer your question. I
Good.
stalled on you.
We have to,
No, absolutely.
we have to
We're
wait
good.
a week
Not
Till
for it.
next
forget
week.
it.
Suspenseful ending.
Yeah.
Suspenseful ending.
We're going to cut it right
Way
there.
to go.
What was that old show, Mr. Peabody, the squirrel or something? You had to wait till next week to see the end. I'm dating myself
Rocky and
here.
Bullwinkle?
Rocky and
Bullwinkle.
Bullwinkle. Of course, that's who it was.
This is why I had to cut
And
you
they had
guys off.
shake
It just
rooms.
keeps
Okay.
going.
We'll just keep going. We'll jump. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We're going to jump right back into it on the next episode here. So I appreciate you
We'll see
if
you
you're
next
listening
week.
to us. And thank you so much.
good.
We'll talk to you next week.